The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
That minister did have a real conversation about guns. Unfortunately for him, he was caught on tape.
This guy's garage. Like and subscribe.
Leader of the Opposition.
By freeing rampant gun criminals and wasting billions of dollars of police and border resources targeting law-abiding, licensed, trained and tested firearms owners, this government has overseen a 130% increase in violent gun crime. But over the weekend, the Minister of Public Safety accidentally told the truth, and he was recorded doing it. He said that the gun grab is not worth the money, that it will go over budget, and it would be better just to lock up the criminals, but that they're going ahead with the bad policy because it's good politics. Does the Prime Minister agree?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, it's a good thing there's a recording of it so that Canadians can have a look for themselves. Let me be very clear, Mr. Speaker. Canadians want responsible gun control. They wanted it in 1989 after a man killed 14 women at École Polytechnique. They wanted it after 6 people were murdered at the Quebec City mosque shooting. And they wanted it after the biggest mass shooting in our history, where a man opened fire and killed 22 people in Nova Scotia. Mr. Speaker, why are the Conservatives against keeping guns off our streets?
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the minister said that his gun grab won't work, that it will go over budget, and that it would be better to lock up criminals, as Conservatives have been suggesting, but that they're going ahead with the gun grab anyway because the Prime Minister wants to pursue electoral politics. Electoral politics, Mr. Speaker. When a mother is hit with a stray bullet, or a police officer is murdered by a firearm, or a bullet flies into a child's bedroom as part of an extortion case, we don't have time for politics. So why is this minister caught on tape playing politics with guns?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, in order to have a real conversation about crime, we need to have a real conversation about guns. Canadians want responsible gun control, Mr. Speaker. They wanted it in 1989 after a man killed 14 women at École Polytechnique. They wanted it after 6 people were murdered at the Quebec City mosque shooting, and they wanted it after the biggest mass shooting in our history, where a man opened fire and killed 22 people in Nova Scotia. Mr. Speaker, why are the Conservatives against keeping guns off our streets, and why has this Leader of the Opposition voted against every single gun control measure that he has been in Parliament for?
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
That minister did have a real conversation about guns. Unfortunately for him, he was caught on tape. Caught on tape, admitting that the gun grab is a waste of money. Caught on tape, admitting it would go over budget. Caught on tape, admitting it would be better just to lock up the gun criminals who are actually doing the crime. Why is it that Liberals only tell the truth when they don't think anyone is listening?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, let me reiterate, it's actually a good thing that this conversation was caught on tape. And in fact, it will counter every single claim that this Leader of the Opposition is making. Let me be very clear, Mr. Speaker. Canadians want responsible gun control. We are in a position as a government, we committed to it during the last campaign, Mr. Speaker. Canadians gave us a mandate on April the 28th to ensure that we move forward on this program, and we look forward to its implementation.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, while this government blocks criminal justice reforms that would lock up gun criminals, they want to go ahead and take nearly $1 billion away from border security and police officers to go after licensed, law-abiding, trained and tested hunters and sport shooters, a project that the OPP refuses to enforce. Numerous provincial governments have said they will not go ahead with. They've even had to ask Canada Post to go and collect these firearms. The minister himself has now admitted that it won't work. Why won't they drop the politics and save lives?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, if the member is concerned about advancing legislation that's actually going to keep Canadians safe, he would work across the aisle with us as we seek to table legislation during this legislative sitting to ensure that violent repeat offenders are kept behind bars, to make sure the most serious offenders are actually facing stiffer penalties. But, Mr. Speaker, it is hard to accept criticism when it comes to keeping our community safe from gun violence from a member who, for more than 2 decades, has voted against the very specific measures that are designed to take guns off our streets, and he has voted repeatedly on the measures that will weaken our border to prevent the inflow of guns in the first place.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
I and we have voted against policies that have given Canada a 130% increase in gun violence. And speaking of getting things through Parliament, he says seek to introduce. This government has been in place for 10 years. They have softened penalties for repeat offenders. That minister took the summer off and still has not introduced any criminal justice reforms to stop guns. We put forward a 3 strikes you're out law that would lock up the repeat violent offenders. Instead, they're spending $700 million of police resources going after licensed law-abiding people. Why?
Yeah. The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, I have news for my friend on the other side of the House of Commons. If he believes that I haven't moved forward with legislative efforts this sitting when it comes to criminal justice reform, I would have invited him to have shown up for work on Friday last week where we did that very thing. Mr. Speaker, he should look forward this fall sitting to seeing 2 additional pieces of criminal legislative reform. One on bail and sentencing that will make sure violent repeat offenders are not walking amongst our streets, and a second that will protect those who are at risk of intimate partner violence or at risk of being victimized by sexual offenses. And when it comes to the summer, I was meeting with law enforcement and provincial counterparts. He was fighting for his job.
As the member knows, we cannot suggest that somebody was present or not in the House. I'm assuming he meant it in a very vague way, that it had something to do with, I don't know, something else. But I'll just give that warning to the member. L'honorable député de Saint-Jean.
The honourable member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, with its factum to the Supreme Court against Bill 21, Ottawa is basically bordering on conspiracy theory. By challenging state secularism, the Liberals are creating a slippery...
After 10 years of Liberals, food prices have skyrocketed 40%. This Prime Minister said he'd be different, and he's right. He's even more expensive than Justin Trudeau was. He's doubling the deficit, racking up the federal debt, and blocking anything that would help bring food prices to come down. Liberal inflation is making food prices 75% over the bank's target. Why doesn't this Prime Minister just get out of the way so Conservatives can pass common sense legislation like the Canada Sovereignty Act and actually bring down the cost of groceries?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, in the last election, Canadians had a clear choice between a leader that has economic and business experience versus a leader that has none. We are focused on affordability for Canadians, cutting taxes for 22 million Canadians. We are cutting the consumer carbon tax. We are cutting the GST for first-time homebuyers. And we are going to build homes at a scale not seen since the Second World War. I ask the Conservatives to cut the rhetoric and get on board. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Calgary East.
In the last election, Canadians were duped by a guy that's committing economic vandalism. This finance minister said he would bring down the cost of groceries Thanksgiving 2023. It's almost Thanksgiving 2025, and the cost of groceries has skyrocketed. It's like the cost of living crisis that they created. Their solution to that is to spend even more than Trudeau did. Why doesn't this Prime Minister stop competing with Justin Trudeau for the most expensive Prime Minister in Canadian history and get out of the way so Conservatives can fix everything these guys broke?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, this last summer we crossed the country, went from coast to coast to coast, and the message from Canadians was resoundingly clear. They want us to spend less and invest more in national projects, invest more in building our country, bringing down interprovincial trade barriers, working together, Mr. Speaker. We have a plan to build the strongest economy in the G7. That is exactly what we're going to do. I ask the Conservatives to stop the rhetoric and get on board.
The Honourable Member for Haldimand Norfolk.
10 years of Liberal rule, and what do Canadians have to show for it? Soaring food prices, food insecurity, 4 million visits to food banks in Toronto alone last year. A quarter of Canadian households cannot afford to put food on the table. That is 40% higher than the year before. So, when will this Prime Minister stop obstructing Parliament and introduce a budget that lowers food prices?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
You know, Mr. Speaker, when Canadians are facing a hard time, they want a government that will invest in them. And today, as the Canadian Building Trades Unions visit us in Ottawa, celebrating the investments in major projects that are going to create great-paying jobs for tradespeople all across this country, with a government that's focused on making sure that we cut taxes for individuals, 22 million Canadians, when making sure that Canadians have what they need. Canadians chose well, and they chose this government, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Haldimand Norfolk.
Canadians want a government that will deal with this affordability crisis. This crisis happened on their watch. This Prime Minister promised Canadians that they could judge him by the price of groceries. Well, the numbers are in. Apples are up 14%. Potatoes are up 16%. Canned food is up 26%. When will this Prime Minister stop obstructing Parliament and introduce a budget that will bring back food affordability to Canada?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Well, Mr. Speaker, Canadians are intelligent, and they knew better than to place their vote with the opposition, with Conservatives that were threatening, indeed voting against everything that was making their lives more affordable, whether it was a school food and nutrition program, whether it was the Canada Dental Care Plan, whether it was investment in seniors, increasing supports for seniors, whether it was investments in infrastructure, Mr. Speaker. Time and time again, Conservatives voted against these measures. Canadians saw with their eyes they could not count on Conservatives to protect them.
The Honourable Member for Parry Sound Muskoka.
After 10 years of Liberals, experts are now warning of up to 100,000 job losses in the housing sector by 2027. Builders are laying off their trained staff, even though the Prime Minister promised to double housing construction. Housing starts have stalled completely in the GTA and the Lower Mainland, where the housing crisis is the worst. In Ajax, housing starts are down 100%. Builders are praising our common sense plan to remove the GST on all homes under $1.3 million, saying it will restart home building. So why doesn't the Prime Minister want home builders building homes?
Good question.
The Honourable Minister for Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, to the member opposite, that's exactly why this government is committed to the most aggressive affordable housing program in our history. That's excellent. We need to focus on affordability. Canadians have spoken. Canadians have elected this government to deliver on affordability. With a tax cut, with a focus on affordable housing, we're seeing right out of the gate, Build Canada Homes focused on 4,000 homes in 6 cities across Canada, $1 billion into supportive housing, and 700 units of housing in Nunavut. We need to scale up. We expect their support.
Since the minister was appointed, many more people have been abused and defrauded by Canadian immigration consultants who contribute to the chaos in Canada's immigration system, while the minister just lets them. Instead of taking advice experts have been giving for years, which is to make immigration consultants report to lawyers, the minister said, "This is fine," this summer, and doubled down on a system that is clearly not working. The Prime Minister chose an incompetent minister to sit in one of the most important files in government. Why?
The Honourable Minister of Immigration.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the Prime Minister for choosing me to be the Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship. Very proud of my record when I served as Nova Scotia's Minister of Immigration. Protecting prospective newcomers from those who try to take advantage of them is critically important, and that is why we've established the College of Immigration and Citizenship Consultants to regulate consultants and protect the public, and this is something that we are very serious about, and we will ensure that it gets done.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Nose Hill.
The minister mentioned her record as immigration minister in a provincial government. During that time, a Nova Scotia auditor found that there were the following issues: no process to determine provincial labour market needs and assess whether those were being addressed by Nova Scotia's provincial nominee program, and none of the 8 recommendations from a 2020 fraud risk assessment had been implemented. So I'll ask the same question. Why did the Prime Minister put an incompetent minister into this position?
The Honourable Minister of Immigration.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Again, I want to thank the Prime Minister. In fact, I want to thank the people in Halifax West for electing me to this Parliament. I am here to do the best job I possibly can do with my experience, with my expertise, and with my love for Canada and love for Canadians. And we will continue to do that. As for my record as Minister of Immigration from 2013 to 2021, provincially, the record is clear. I would invite parliamentarians to go look at it. Thank you very much.
The Honourable Member for Richmond Hill South.
After 10 years of this Liberal government, our immigration system is in chaos. This summer, illegal border crossers claiming asylum surged by a staggering 277%. Most of them will be bogus. This has put massive pressure on housing, healthcare, and benefits across Canada, especially in Quebec. And what did the immigration minister do? Absolutely nothing. She enjoyed her summer vacation while our borders were left wide open. The Prime Minister promised to be different, but instead of fixing it, he let the situation spiral out of control while Canadians paid the price. Why did the Prime Minister appoint such an incompetent minister to one of the most important jobs who is making the crisis worse every single day?
The Honourable Minister of Immigration.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'm not going to thank for that question, but I will answer that question. I've spent my summer, a whole 10, 11 weeks, working 7 days a week without taking 1 day for vacation. Having said that, this government is intent on ensuring that our immigration system becomes sustainable as well as protecting our borders. That is why we have Bill C2 in front of us in Parliament, which will be an aid for us here, and I urge all parliamentarians to get on board and support it.
The Honourable Member for Newmarket Aurora.
After 10 years of this Liberal government, Canada's immigration system is broken. The Prime Minister promised he'd be different, but nothing has changed. The only way to stop illegal border crossers from abusing our asylum system is to end the incentives that turn it into a backdoor for economic migration. Yet this immigration minister has done nothing, literally nothing all summer. So I ask again, why has the Prime Minister put a minister who is totally out of her depth and making things worse on one of the most important files in Cabinet?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I am a little puzzled and a little concerned about the tone coming from the opposition. We do not treat MPs and ministers in this House in this way. That minister is doing a fantastic job and has presented legislation before this Parliament that party needs to respond to that will clean up our immigration system. And while they're at it, they can perhaps answer for why in Cloverdale, Langley City, they are forcing temporary students to come campaign for them in by-election campaigns. Those are the questions the incompetent leader of the opposition and his party need to answer.
The Honourable Member for Abbotsford South Langley.
Mr. Speaker, the minister said she worked all summer, and the system is worse.
Whoa.
The Prime Minister promised that he'd be different, but illegal border crossers have been surging into Canada to abuse the asylum system all work, and the minister has done nothing to stop it. She hasn't strengthened the Safe Third Country Agreement. She hasn't reviewed the benefits they receive to put a stop to the ones they come into our country. She's let the asylum seekers become even worse, and the predecessor that she followed. The Prime Minister chose to be incompetent and chose an incompetent minister for the Cabinet. Why?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, our government is working hard to secure our borders. This morning I had the chance to meet with the president of the CBSA, who advised that border crossings are down 60%, Mr. Speaker. We will strengthen our borders and even make it investing more resources through security screenings, as well as quickly identifying and removing those who are inadmissible. We will hire 1,000 more RCMP and CBSA officers, Mr. Speaker. We have Bill C2 in the House right now, Mr. Speaker. If this party opposite is serious about border crossings and immigration, then they should pass it swiftly, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Hamilton West, Ancaster Dundas.
Mr. Speaker, Hamilton is proud to be Canada's steel city, with a long history of organized labour and skilled trades. Our country's industry, housing and infrastructure, the foundations of our economy, have always been built by workers in the building trades. Could the Secretary of State for Labour update this House on how our government is supporting apprentices and helping workers get the training they need to literally build Canada's future?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Labour.
Finally, a good question, Mr. Speaker. I've been meeting with workers from Surrey to St. John's, including Canada's building trades unions. We're in town this week, and they all say the same thing. It's time to build. That's exactly what we're doing, Mr. Speaker. From major nation-building projects to building Canadian homes, Mr. Speaker, we're building big with Canadian steel, Canadian lumber, Canadian unionized workers. We're creating thousands of jobs and apprenticeship opportunities through the Union Training Innovation Program. Mr. Speaker, we're investing in training the next generation. Mr. Speaker, while the Conservatives talk down Canada, we're building Canada up with Canadian workers.
The honourable member for Kamloops, Thompson-Nicola.
The public safety minister told the truth. It's true. He spoke about how this confiscation buyback is an incredible boondoggle. Now let's actually hear what he had to say. This is the mandate I was given by the Prime Minister to complete this and not revisit this. It sounds like he doesn't even believe in this. So if the public safety minister doesn't believe in this program, why are we spending $742 million taxpayer dollars to keep it going?
Hear, hear. Great.
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, I've addressed this issue a number of times, but let me just make it very personal, Mr. Speaker. The last 4 months in this role as Minister of Public Safety, I've received a great deal of vitriol from the gun lobby, Mr. Speaker. If you go into my social media accounts, you will see hundreds, if not thousands, of comments of hatred that's coming through the gun lobby, Mr. Speaker. What the party opposite is doing is reinforcing that. We have a serious plan to ensure that guns are off our streets. That's why we will be going forward and implementing this program, Mr. Speaker. I invite the party opposite to come on board and ensure that our streets are safe.
Honourable member for Kamloops, Thompson-Nicola.
It's always somebody else's fault, Mr. Speaker. What this minister fails to mention is that in Bill C-5, he voted so that people who do drive-by shootings can serve their sentence on house arrest. Shame. People who do robberies with guns, house arrest, Mr. Speaker. Nobody wants a part of this program. Canada Post doesn't want a part of it. Local law enforcement doesn't want a part of it. OPP doesn't want a part of this $742 million boondoggle. The minister told us that he just has to put it to an end. So why are they still intent on having this program go forward when all he wants to do is end it?
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives constantly want U.S.-style politics here, whether it's the 3 strikes or you're out rule or assault rifles on our streets, which the Conservatives would make legal again.
That's right.
Mr. Speaker, we've seen these policies fail in the U.S., and they won't work here either. Come up with some comprehensive, meaningful change, like the change that we're going to bring with bail reform and sentencing reform, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Oxford.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberal gun grab scam unfairly targets law-abiding Canadians while giving criminals a free pass. This failed scam has been rejected by the police, the provinces, Canada Post, and now even their own public safety minister. In a leaked audio, he says that the Prime Minister pressured him. He admits that this plan won't work, and he even promised to pay his tenant's bail if he's arrested. You can't make this up, Mr. Speaker. What they say in public versus what they say behind closed doors is totally the opposite. So if the minister won't stand behind his own plan, why should Canadians foot the $700 million bill for their scam?
Yeah. The Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Mr. Speaker, we're moving forward in a responsible way to make sure that gun ownership in Canada is safe. There is no reason to have assault-style firearms on our streets or in our homes. Mr. Speaker, we're going to be responsible. We're going to make sure that we don't have the gun crisis that we see in the United States just south of us. If Conservatives have their way, they'd make guns free and legal for everyone.
The honourable member for York Centre.
Conservatives have been saying from day one that the gun buyback program is an awful idea. Law-abiding gun owners don't commit gun crime with lawfully purchased guns. Criminals commit gun crime. Gun criminals who terrorize our streets because of the Liberals' failure on law and order. We know that the OPP won't participate in the program. Canada Post won't participate in the program. Local police won't participate in the program. Now we learn that the Minister of Public Safety doesn't want to participate in it either. Why is this minister going ahead with a program that he doesn't want to participate in?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives need to get serious about resolving and coming up with solutions when it comes to crime, when it comes to firearms in our country. When they were in government, Mr. Speaker, they cut funding to the RCMP, to our borders, and they would go back and make assault-style firearms legal in our country. If they cared so much about the safety of our nation, maybe their leaders should get a security clearance.
Yeah.